Here we go.
Okay, good morning, everybody. And today we are back to talking about a country. And I think all of you all know this country. You know the name of this country. Oops. You all know the name of this country, but you may not know other very interesting things about this country also. So may I request Keisha to please start the PPT? Because I know a lot of you all are already guessing, but when you see the first slide, I think you all will know for sure what we're going to speak about today. Yes, right? So now, one guess about which country we are going to speak about today.
Australia.
Yes. What else do other people think? Jai Prakash also says Australia. Anybody else? Kangaroo. We're going to speak about a kangaroo. So we're going to speak about Australia. Akhilesh says kangaroo. Yes, that is a kangaroo. So Australia. So that's a very good guess. And you knew it from the kangaroo, but I thought you'll know it from cricketers. Who are these two? Come on, all you IPL fans.
David Warner.
Aaron Finch and David Warner.
Yeah, Aaron Finch and David Warner. Yes, so now even I have to learn about cricket and IPL. These are the great Australian cricketers who are playing in IPL, right? And yesterday,
Yeah.
David Warner was playing last night. So super
Sunrisers
exciting.
Hyderabad.
Yes, Sunrisers Hyderabad.
And
with
Aaron Finch from RCB, Royal Challenger Bangalore.
yeah, Aaron Finch from Yellow.
No, but
Bangalore.
Australia.
Chennai Super Kings, isn't it?
No, ma'am. Bangalore. Virat
Oh,
Kohli's team.
Bangalore. Okay, Bangalore. So here he must be wearing the Australian
Jersey.
jersey, right?
Yeah.
That's why he's wearing yellow. Yeah. So the Australian jersey is yellow when they play in
What their
T20 and one day, and exactly right. So fantastic. So the kangaroo, Aditya said, and so even Achilles said kangaroo. So you see that animal on top of the screen. So that's a kangaroo. And the most typical animal of Australia, when we see a kangaroo, we always think of Australia. And when we think of Australia, we think of the kangaroo. And what is the first visual near the kangaroo? What is this?
Map of Australia.
Yeah, it's an outline map of Australia. And look at the south. There's an island. Can you see that? Can you see that island? And that island also belongs to Australia. It's not a separate country. It also belongs to Australia. The name of that island is Tasmania. I'll say it again, so you'll get it later. Next slide, please. So here we're looking. I know that when we talk about cricket, everybody says Australia, Australia, Australia. Yes, but what is Australia? Where is Australia? Why does Australia play cricket? So we need to know the answers to all these questions. So the country, as you guessed, is Australia. And people also call Australia Oz, O-Z, okay? O-Z, Oz. It's just a loving name given to Australia. And the people are called Australians or Aussies. That's also just lovingly called, like a pet name or a nickname. Australians are also called Aussies. In fact, they call themselves also Aussies. Next one, please. So here's our favorite world map, which we see every time. And here, look, you can see Australia very, very clearly on the map, correct? And you can see that little Tasmania, the island at the bottom, at the south, to be precise, of Australia. You can see the island Tasmania. Very good. So something about Australia, which I want to point out to you. The countries we've done before, the UK, the USA, Japan, Kenya, Tanzania, all these countries we've done, they've all been in a different part of the map. They have been towards the north. Am I right about this? They have been towards the north of the map. You know north and south, correct? Yes or no? You know north and south? Yes. Thank you, Kashish.
Yes.
All these countries have been in the northern hemisphere. Northern hemisphere. And today we're talking about first time a country in the southern hemisphere. So in the next picture is going to show you this even more clearly. Please, can we have the next slide, please? The northern hemisphere and the southern hemisphere. So if you look at this, it's like a globe, right? Like the world is today. You've seen a globe, that round like a ball with the maps on it. And you can see, please look on the side, it says northern hemisphere, southern hemisphere. And there's a line in the middle. There's a horizontal line. When you look at that horizontal line on both sides of the line, it says equator. Equator. So that's the zero latitude line which divides the globe into two, the top half and the bottom half, the northern hemisphere and the southern hemisphere. Okay, so if we take a ball and there's a line in the middle of the ball, the top half is the northern hemisphere, the bottom half is the southern hemisphere. And now tell me again, Australia is in which hemisphere, northern or southern?
Southern.
Thank you. It's in the southern hemisphere, right? While USA, UK, Japan, they are in which hemisphere? Northern or southern? Northern hemisphere. Well done. And now look at this map and in your mind, find where India is and tell me, is it in the northern hemisphere or the southern hemisphere?
It is in the northern hemisphere.
It's in the northern hemisphere. Excellent. I love how you all are all unmuting and answering me. So you see there's more land in the northern hemisphere. There's less land in the southern hemisphere. Am I right? Yeah. So Australia's in the southern hemisphere. Tell me some other places which are in the southern hemisphere, please.
New Zealand.
Antarctica.
Antarctica, excellent. New Zealand, somebody said excellent.
Hello.
Yes.
Africa.
Yes, the southern part of Africa is in the southern hemisphere. What else is it? Akhilesh, Japan is in the north, but you're looking at some other islands like Indonesia, Malaysia, and little bits of them are coming into the southern
South
hemisphere.
America.
Absolutely right. Yes, many countries in South America, like Brazil, like Peru, like Paraguay and Uruguay, they are in the southern hemisphere. Okay, so am I clear about this northern hemisphere and southern hemisphere? You may know this in geography, you may know it when you, I'm sure you know it, but you may have the Hindi or Marathi words for it. So I wanted to tell you the English words for it. Northern hemisphere, southern hemisphere. Very good. And if you look at the top of this slide, you will see two more hemispheres. Western hemisphere, Eastern hemisphere. Correct? So our map is divided into west and east, right? So now tell me, from looking at this, which continent is in the Western hemisphere?
North America.
North
America
America.
and South America.
Well done. North America and South America and the Western hemisphere. Therefore, the USA is in which west? Is it Western or Eastern hemisphere?
Western.
Western. Well done. So in the same way, let's look at Australia. Is it in the Western or the Eastern?
Eastern.
Eastern. Thank you for that quick answer. And Mahek also typed it out. Australia will be in the Eastern. Very well done. So you all have got this. You see this equator and these lines which we have made to divide Western, Eastern, Northern, Southern. These are not real lines on the earth. Nobody has gone and drawn a line on the land. These are imaginary lines which we draw in geography so that we can understand the earth better, right? So we can understand that we can divide the earth into parts so that we can study it better. Great. So I want you to remember this equator, which is at the zero. It's called the zero latitude. Okay. So well done, everybody. So Australia is in the southern hemisphere and in the eastern hemisphere. All right. Next slide, please. And the next slide, here we see, oh, I'm sorry. Okay. So here we see, I thought there was a map of Australia coming. Okay, no problem. It will come later. So here we see the Australian flag, right? Here we see the Australian flag. And this Australian flag reminds me of some other flag.
New Zealand.
No, one of the other flags we already studied.
UK. America.
UK. Thank you, Jai Prakash. And somebody said it. Who said it? UK. So I'm very happy with that answer. It reminds us of the UK. Because if you look at the top left corner of this flag, it has the UK flag. So the Australian flag has the UK flag inside it. Strange, right? How funny is that? Which country has another country's flag inside it? Australia. But why does it have that? Can anybody guess why it might have that? Any idea? Yes.
Maybe because UK was ruling Australia for so many years.
Who gave this answer?
Me, Jai Prakash.
Jai Prakash has spoken. Well done, and has spoken the right answer. So Jai Prakash, now I want to hear your voice. Yes, you are 100% right, because at one point in time in history, the UK was ruling Australia. You know that England had many, many colonies all around the world. You know that very well. Quickly tell me the name of another colony. Which countries did it rule around the world? Tell me the name of some other countries that it ruled.
India.
India.
America.
America. United States. What is today the United States?
Right.
Brazil.
Not Brazil. But
South
from the
Africa.
countries we have done. From the countries we have done.
South Africa.
But we have not done. From the countries we have done. Yes, South Africa was also. But from the countries we have done. The country in Africa we have
Italy
done.
and
Not Italy. They never ruled Italy. The country we have done in Africa.
Tanzania.
Tanzania.
Yes, and Kenya.
Kenya and
also.
Tanzania.
Yes, that's why they also speak English, Swahili and English, right? So Australia was also ruled. And much like the US, where English colonies had been formed in the US, you remember the first 13 colonies. In the same way in Australia, also there were colonies of the United Kingdom in Australia. This is history, of course. And so today also, the Australian people consider the Queen of England as their queen. Of course, this is again just for ceremonial purposes, but they look up to the Queen of England as their queen, and they still have the British flag on their flag. So Australia is a constitutional monarchy. You have heard this word before many times, this term before. Constitutional monarchy is what Australia is. Anybody can tell me anything about this constitutional monarchy? What is it? Anything, even one word. We've gone through it twice.
Kings and queens rule the country.
Kings and queens rule the country. That's the monarchy part. Well done. Constitutional monarchy. Kings and queens are at the head of the country, but The kings
They
and
have constitutions.
They have a constitution. Well done. And the kings and queens, do they actually rule, or are there only as a symbol of the country?
They are the symbol of the country,
Yes, they are
and they have government.
yes, they are
They
the
have.
symbol of the country, but the country has an elected government, right? The country has an elected government, but the king or the queen is only a symbol of the country, the symbol of the unity of the country, the person who people look up to in that country. So we saw this in the UK. We saw the queen of the UK. What was her name?
Queen Elizabeth II.
Well done. You'll know this. Queen Elizabeth is the queen, and she is the queen of the UK. The UK has a constitutional monarchy. One more country, we saw a very modern country with a king. And we said, this is also a constitutional monarchy. Anybody remember? Japan.
Yes, Japan.
Thank you, Jai Prakash. Well done. Today, everybody's brains are really ticking well, and I'm really proud of you. Yes, Japan also has a king, and it still has an elected government. So well done on constitutional monarchy. Look at how much you know, and look at how much you've learned in just 12 or 13 GK sessions. Next slide, please. Superb. Superb. Here we go. This is the Prime Minister, right, of Australia today. His name is Scott Morrison. But above the picture of the Prime Minister, again, I'm going to make you all think, is written bicameral legislature. And this also we've seen over and over again in many of the countries we have studied. Who is going to tell me anything about the meaning of this bicameral legislature? Bi means?
Two.
Yes, bi always means two. Legislature is the part of the government that does what? Same letter, L. That's the hint. And you all know this. Think. You all know this.
They have two parliament.
Well done. Two houses of parliament. L for legislature and L for laws. Make the association in your head. The part of the government which makes the law, L, is called the legislature. L. Did you all not hear this in Army ma'am's memory class? Make an association with the same letter and you'll remember it. Legislature makes laws, L and L. Two houses of parliament, because bi means two. Thank you. I think that was Ayush. Two houses of parliament elected by the people, with the prime minister being the head of the government. This is very much like which other country? Which other country also has the same? Come on, come
UK,
on.
United Kingdom.
Of course, United Kingdom, the House of Lords and the House of Commons. Which other country? You know it? Come on, think. Which other country has a bicameral legislature?
India.
India. Well done. India has a bicameral legislature with a prime minister at the head of the government. UK also has a prime minister as the head of the government. And Australia has the same. Thank you. Yes, Aditya, Mahek, all coming up with the right answers. See how this works. We were all colonies of England, of the United Kingdom, and so much of our government, our constitution, of so many of the things we do in our countries today as independent countries, we still have learned from the United Kingdom. You get what I'm trying to say, right? The United Kingdom, the bicameral legislature, the prime minister at the head of the government, same thing we are doing in the colonies. It's a good system. So we are following the good system that we already learned, right? So good. So Australia is another country with a bicameral legislature and a prime minister at the head of the government, and the prime minister is Scott Morrison. Next slide, please. So here we have at last a map of Australia. All right, look at it. It's like a giant island. It's like a giant island. The whole continent is one country. Tasmania, look at it, Tasmania in the south also belongs to Australia. And then there is New Zealand on the side, as somebody mentioned earlier. Technically belongs to Australia, but they are islands and they are to the east of Australia. So here we have Australia divided into its 5 big sections, which we don't need to worry about. But what's interesting here are what is written in red. Can you see the big red dots? And what do you think these big red dots show us? What do they tell us, the big red dots?
City of
Yes, they are the big cities.
Yes,
Thank you
yep.
so much. They are the big cities of Australia. And please understand, they are all on the coast of Australia. On the coast. You know the word coast. We did it before. Coastline, right? They are by
near
the
to the
sea.
sea.
Yes, thank you, Aditya. Many of them are ports, so they are good for trading. These are the places where the other countries, the Europeans came first, right? The Europeans came in the age of discovery and the age of exploration and all that. And these are all the places that they came to. And therefore, these are still the big cities of Australia. Would somebody like to tell me the names of all these places which are in red?
Melbourne, Sydney, Brisbane, Adelaide, Perth,
Perth, yes, and there's one up north.
Canberra, Hobart,
Canberra. Darwin.
Darwin.
Very good. Thank you for that. So these are the main cities of Australia. Next slide, please. And we are going to just look a little bit at one or two of the exciting cities. And here is Canberra. Canberra is the capital of Australia. This is where the government sits. And you can actually see the water, right? It's a beautiful city, a modern city. It's Canberra. Next one, please, is the capital. Please remember. Next one, please. The largest city of Australia.
Yeah.
And this city is Sydney. This is the most iconic picture. When you see this picture, when you're thinking of Australia, or when you see this picture and the picture of the kangaroo, you always know that we are talking, or whoever is talking, about Australia. Because this picture of Sydney has 2 very, very famous things. Do you see that bridge at the back?
Yeah.
That is a very famous bridge, Sydney Harbour Bridge. And this is in front of the Sydney Harbour Bridge. You see the Sydney Opera House.
Yeah.
Yeah, look at how interesting the structure of this building is. The architecture of this building is so different that when you see this, you immediately know this is Sydney Opera House. What is an opera house?
A music place.
Well done. Well done. Music concerts and also opera.
Opera music, yeah.
Yes, an opera is like a drama which is set to music. So people don't speak the lines, people sing the lines. They sing the lines.
By
So
some theme.
thank you. So we've been looking for a good video of this, but we are still unable to find something that's perfect. So opera is very important in Italy also. So we are one of these days going to show you a short video of an opera. And then please remember the Sydney Opera House. Okay, very good. Thank you so much for that. And I'm so happy you knew. Next city, please. The next city is Melbourne.
Melbourne, yeah.
Yep. And at the slide at the bottom, what is that?
Stadium, Melbourne Stadium.
Yeah, no points for guessing this because everybody in India knows what a cricket stadium looks like. The Melbourne Cricket Ground, internationally famous, where we have all the test matches and we have all kinds. Of course, there are lots of cricket stadiums in Australia because the Australians play a lot of cricket, as you can see. And the picture on the top is the tallest building in the southern hemisphere. It's not the tallest building in the world, huh? It's the tallest building in the southern hemisphere. And now you know what the southern hemisphere is. And that's in Melbourne. So I want to just stop for 1 second to mention two things which I had forgotten to mention earlier. When we spoke about the flag, the legislature, I mentioned that the colonies of England took a lot of things from England, right? Like their system of government. And then they adopted it, they changed it to suit themselves. Two other very important things that many of the colonies took from or learned from England. And the first thing, can you think of anything? Can you think of anything? Because India was also a colony. Can you think of anything?
Can I, ma'am?
Yes, please.
Their sports,
Sports. What do you mean by sports?
cricket.
The cricket. England is the home of cricket, the place where cricket started. And when these Britishers came and settled in other parts of the world, you know, they used to live here because they used to rule. They started playing cricket and then they started teaching the people, the local people also how to play cricket. Correct? So if you look at the cricketing countries of the world, you will immediately know the colonies of England.
And
that's a
Australia
trick.
also, the north.
Yes, yes. So England's playing cricket and they taught the world to play cricket. India's playing cricket, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Australia, Kenya. We already covered 6 cricketing
Ireland.
countries, right?
Afghanistan.
Yes, but these were all colonies of England. Therefore, they all play cricket today, right? Another association which helps you to remember the colonies. One more thing, and somebody already put it in the chat box. I think it was Aditya, but I'm not sure. We learned to speak English from English, clearly. So also did the other colonies, right? And so also in Australia, Australians speak English. English is their national language. Very good. Next slide, please. Here we go. The Australian money.
Currency.
Currency. Well said. What is it called?
Dollar.
Dollar
Yes.
or odd.
Dollar. But they specifically call it the Australian dollar because many countries have the dollar. You know, the US has the dollar, which is the most famous dollar. Canada has a Canadian dollar. Australia has an Australian dollar. And AUD is the short form. AUD is the short form. Okay, so if you see AUD 100, you know it's Australian dollar 100. You understand what I'm saying? Please, do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
Good, thank you. And here we can see the notes. And I want you to look at this note right on top because it's got somebody's picture on it. Do you have any idea who this person is? It's got somebody's picture on it. It's a younger person, the person you've seen before. But here in this picture, she's a bit younger. So maybe it's a little hard to recognize her. She is the head in name. So they honor her by putting her on their $5 note. She's Queen Elizabeth. And you may not recognize her because this is a very young picture.
मेरे दिमाग में यही नाम सोच रहा था लेकिन मैंने बोला नहीं.
Why? Speak. If you have the wrong answer also, it doesn't matter, right? Because this is Pehchaan. We give marks for all answers. Right and wrong doesn't matter. If it is wrong, ultimately you will become right after a few tries. So well done, Suvajit, for thinking. And I'm sure many of you all had it in your head, but you all didn't want to take a risk. Please take a risk. Don't worry. Superb. So here we have Elizabeth on the $5 note. AUD stands for Australian dollar. Next slide, please. So a little bit about Australia. Not going to bore you with this. It is a highly developed country. It is the 14th richest country, largest economy. It has a very high human development index. And now we've done this human development index 3 to 4 times before. Anyone can tell me anything about the human development index? What is the human development index about? Even a single word.
To help their people to progress or develop.
Very good. So what kind of things are we measuring? When we are measuring economy, we're measuring money, we're measuring wealth, we're measuring goods and services, what is produced, what is bought, the quality of human life, says Aditya. Thank you very much. We are not measuring money and wealth. We are measuring quality of the human life in Human Development Index. Well done. So can you tell me one or two things which we may be measuring when we want to measure the quality of a human's life?
Rights, freedom,
Rights and freedoms are written here. Education, says Durgeshwari.
Education.
Thank you very much. It is a very, very important point in human development.
Health.
Another point, health. Well done. Very important point. Healthcare and education. So when a country has very high levels of healthcare and education, which are provided and often provided free, the country usually has a very high human development index. They take care of their people very well. And in the case of Australia, as Suvajit pointed out, it's not only these, but also things like human rights, freedom, liberty of people. These are held in very, very high esteem. These are very, very important to these people, and they give a lot of importance to these kind of something to remember. Thank you. Next slide, please. So, and now we're done with all the stuff that we just need to know. And now we come to animals. And why do we want to talk about animals in Australia? We spoke about those fabulous animals in Africa, and I know that a lot of you all found it very interesting. And the animals in Australia are totally and completely different from the animals anywhere else in the world. Certainly totally different from anything that we have seen. And I think Keisha is going to play us a cute video now. So Keisha, please, whenever you're ready to go, please roll with it. So as I said, the animals that you're going to see, here we go. Listen.
National animal.
The sound, Keisha, please. There's no sound. Can you all hear anything? Cannot hear, me neither.
No.
Oops, Zoom is letting us down, I think. Read. She's trying again. It's mute, it's mute. It's on mute. Still says mute. Yes, play now. Can you all hear?
Good day, mate. Welcome to Australia. You're not going to find animals like this anywhere else in the world. They all live together on this continent that looks like a giant island. Let's take a closer look. Here are 11 amazing Australian animals. These cute, cuddly Aussie critters are koalas. Koalas are marsupials. Marsupials are a kind of mammal that are not fully developed when they are born. When baby koalas, also known as joeys, are born, they're not ready to live on their own, so they live in their mother's pouch for about 7 months. Newborn koala joeys are about the size of a jelly bean. They eventually grow to be about 9 kilograms, around 20 pounds. As baby joeys, they rely heavily on their mother for the first year of their life. Even when they leave their mother's pouch at 7 months, they come back to nurse. After a year, they stop nursing and eat leaves. Eucalyptus leaves are their favorite. Adult koalas are mostly solitary and spend their days up in the trees, napping and eating. They're nocturnal. This means they're more active during the night. This is a dingo.
Please
It's
stop
known
here,
as
Keisha.
Australia's wild dog,
Keisha, please stop.
but they can also be found in.
Thank you. Okay, so which animal did we see? Koala. Koala is a bear, right? Like a small, cute bear, about 10 kilos in weight. But when it is born, they said it's like a jelly bean. That's like a sweet. You know the little sweets that we eat? It's only so small. Now they introduced some new words. They spoke about some new words. And the first new word, can anybody tell me that word? Marsupial. Did you see this on top? The first new word, marsupial. What is a marsupial? A marsupial is an animal, yes, who carries its baby in a pouch. So what pouch? A pouch is a bag. Yeah, so do they have a theli in their hand? Do they have a... No, where's the pouch? Pouch is part of their body.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like kangaroo.
Yes. Yes. The pouch is a part of their body around their stomach or abdominal area. There is this pouch where they keep their babies safe, because when their babies are born, they are very small and they cannot manage on their own, much like human babies. We have to carry our baby everywhere we go, correct? So, like human babies, marsupial babies cannot manage on their own. When we did Africa, we saw the babies of the wildebeest and the zebra. They are born and within 2 or 3 days, they start running around. But marsupial babies are not like that. So the mother has to carry the baby in a pouch. So any animal who baby in a pouch is called a marsupial. Now this baby who is carried is called a joey. J-O, right? So the joey is a, or the young one of a marsupial. Joey is a baby, a marsupial. Now this koala bear is nocturnal. Last word, nocturnal. That means that it's active at night and rests during the day. Animal is active at night and rests during the day is nocturnal. Sure that some of you teenagers now are also nocturnal in the holidays. You don't wake up in the morning. You want to sleep all the time. And the whole night you want to watch movies and do stuff like that, don't you? At your age. And that means nocturnal, when you want to be busy in the night and in the day you want to sleep. So many animals are like that. So 4 new words we learned today. Next slide, please. And here's the koala then. You can see the joey. You can see how it lives up in the trees. And did you see what it eats?
Leaves.
Leaves, well, good. It only eats leaves, okay? It doesn't eat anything else. Next one, next slide, please. This is another marsupial, your favorite marsupial. You already know it. But I want to show you this picture because it shows the pouch so well. You see the pouch is so clear. And you see the baby inside the pouch. If you're not speaking, please mute because there's a lot of background noise. Thank you. So this is a kangaroo, right? The most famous animal of Australia is a marsupial. And it has the pouch and the baby in the pouch. And the baby is called a? Baby is called a? Joey. Well done. The baby is called a Joey. Next one, please. Here we're going into another small video about kangaroos. So you can see how well they run. You know, they have very strong back legs. Their back legs are very, very strong. And their tail is very strong. Isha, start the video whenever you can, please. Their tail is very, very strong. So that helps them to run fast and to balance because otherwise they would lose their balance. So have a look at this video. It's a lot of fun actually.
Kangaroos are vegetarians, but they can be fiercely competitive when it comes to courting females. And when they combat each other, feet are their weapon of choice. They're armed with extremely muscular hind legs and enormous feet, which help them to execute broad jumps with every hop. This Bigfoot can cross the vast reaches of the Australian outback with ease, at peak speeds of almost 45 miles an hour. But one thing can stop this speed demon in his tracks: a potential mate. For days during mating season, a male kangaroo, also called boomer, will follow a female. He shadows her every move. But there are plenty of boomers out there, and fights between them will break out often. And that's when the weapons are unleashed. It starts with a quick right jab, then descends into an all-out brawl. This is not just boxing, it's more like ultimate fighting. A favorite tactic? Using the forepaws to grip the opponent and then quickly kicking with their huge clawed hind feet. It's a move that can crush bones, disembowel the opponent, even bring death. Fortunately, a referee breaks up this match before it goes too far. But he can't stop the next generation of Joeys from trying some of their own shadow boxing.
You're
Ma'am, you are on mute.
You're on mute.
So wasn't this a fun video? I loved it. And Kisha and I both loved it. It's like they're boxing just like we box, right?
Yes,
And
ma'am.
yeah, so with the front legs, he's holding at the other guy, and then he jumps up on his back legs and really pushes both his back legs in with so much force that he can knock the other person down. And imagine when he's jumping up, what is supporting the kangaroo? The big tail. The big tail gets down on the ground and supports him while he can jump and kick the other kangaroo with his back legs. And I found this really interesting and actually quite a lot of fun. A bit of a kangaroo WWF fighting match. And I never knew this, you know. When we look at them, they look so kind and sweet and gentle and mild. But when they get angry with each other, this is what they do. So as a commentator said that they are vegetarian, they only eat grass and plants and leaves. But when they get into a bad mood, they can be really, really angry. Thank you, Kisha, for that video. And please, can we go on to the second one, please? Yes. So this is just a few other marsupials. We're just quickly showing them to you. Opossum, the wallaby, and the Tasmanian devil. Just telling you names and just to let you know that there are so many different types of marsupials. And most of them are in Australia and Tasmania. It's really strange that this part of the world has these animals who are so very different. All have pouches, all have doies, all carry their babies around. Next slide, please.
Ayush has a question for you, please.
I'm sorry?
Ayush has a question.
Yes, please, Ayush.
Yes, ma'am. Does kangaroo do not use their front two legs? उनके आगे के दो
I understood perfectly in English. No need to translate. You asked it very well. Do they use their front two legs? No, we saw the video when they were running and jumping, which they jump beautifully. We actually call it hopping. That's when they only use their back legs and they use their tail, right, for balance. They use their front legs are much shorter. So they use them only for other things, to hold things. And how they held his enemy, you know, the fellow he was fighting with, how he held him in his front legs. So I think they use it only for holding things, not actually for movement. They don't come down on all fours like dogs and cats and lions and tigers. They hop only on their back legs. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. So here is at last a different animal, and a different animal, Ayush, who is on all four of his legs. And this is a typical Australian dog, but a wild dog. He lives in all the jungles and the forest and the grassland, and he is called a dingo. Dingo, okay? So this dingo is usually this light brown color, and he's a very strong animal. He can run very fast. He has a lot of stamina, but he does not eat plants. He eats small animals. He eats small animals. He eats fish. He eats frogs. He eats birds. But he is also a very typical Australian animal. Very, very well known in Australia. The name is dingo, not a marsupial now. Okay? He's very much like a dog, a big dog. Next one, please. So in the next slide, I want to explain to you these three words which you may know: herbivore, carnivore, omnivore. The first one is in green, which gives you
Vegetable.
right, animal that feeds on plants, correct? Eats all the grass, the leaves, things from trees. If fruits or vegetables are around, I'm sure they would love to eat that too. Herbivore. Can you tell me some animal that only feeds on plants? We just saw in one of our slides.
Elephant.
Elephant, yeah. Can you tell me a marsupial?
Koala bear.
Koala bear, perfect. It was eating the leaves from the tree. Also the kangaroo, correct? Herbivore. Any other herbivores you'd like to tell me? We are surrounded in India by herbivores. Sorry?
Giraffe.
Giraffe,
Cow,
very
buffalo,
good. Cows,
Deer.
goat, sheep, very good. Giraffe, very good. So we've got lots and lots of herbivores. Herb, plant, herbivore. The next one, carnivore. And Ayushi Didi has given us a nice red color for carnivore. So that makes us think that this animal must be eating
Animal.
Other animals. Yes, and Aditya has said lions and tigers. He's absolutely right. Lions and tigers. And the animal, the Australian animal which we
Dingo.
just saw. Somebody said it.
Dingo.
Dingo. Well done. Ayush said it and Aditya said it. Dingo. The dingo eats other animals. So lions, tigers, cheetahs, leopards, dingoes, jackals, foxes, hyenas are carnivores. They don't like to eat plants. All right. They don't like to eat plants. They like to eat meat. They are carnivore. And then we come to the third one, omnivore. An animal or a person who eats plants and meat. You eat plants and you eat meat, right? So that is a human being, correct? Of course, you may be vegetarian. That is your choice. But you can eat plants and you can eat meat. That is an omnivore. And certain animals are also included in this omnivore. In fact, we're going to see one of them later. But you know, human beings are omnivores. Next slide, please. Great. So just like the animals of Australia are completely different from the animals of other places, so the birds of Australia are also very, very weird. They are strange. They are so different from birds we see regularly. And here we have two of the biggest birds. The first one is cassowary and the second one is emu. And on top here, we've got a small thing which says flightless birds. Birds that cannot fly. Do you understand this? Birds that cannot fly. Yes, Gaurav, they look like an ostrich and they are like ostriches. I'm going to tell you that in a minute. That's a good observation. Thank you for saying it.
Hello.
Yes, Sujit.
Miss, these birds and kangaroo are the national bird and national animals of Australia.
Okay, thank you for that information. So flightless birds are birds that cannot fly. Okay, they don't fly anymore. Perhaps when they were evolving, they flew thousands of years ago, but not today. As you can see, they are very big, first of all. Okay, they are very big. They have long legs. And their feathers are not big feathers for flying. They don't have big wings for flying. They have these small, hard feathers. So, first we're going to talk about the cassowary, right? Look at the cassowary. Look at the colors on the cassowary's neck. Beautiful colors. And when you see these colors, you immediately know this is a cassowary. So this cassowary is the third tallest bird and it usually loves to eat fruits. It also eats plants, but sometimes also eats very small animals and insects. So it eats fruits and plants, but it also eats very small animals. Instead of Googling, kids, listen to what I'm saying because you're going to miss what I'm saying. So this cassowary eats plants and insects. So what is the cassowary? Herbivore, carnivore, or omnivore?
Omnivore.
Omnivore.
Omnivorous.
Thank you. Thank you. Now this cassowary is a very shy bird. It stays in the forests. It stays away from people. But it can also be dangerous if it is attacked. It can be dangerous. And in fact, it is called the most dangerous bird. If it tries to attack you, if you harass or go close to it, it can attack you, in which case the cassowary can become dangerous. They don't like people. They don't like to go close to people. Okay? Now, another very strange fact, if you look at this picture, it's near the sea. Cassowaries can swim. Very strange for a bird to be swimming in the water. But cassowaries can swim, which is why we say all these Australian creatures are so different from the other creatures that we know. It cannot fly, but it can swim. And it's an omnivore and it's very big. Okay, coming to the next picture of the emu. Emu, that's how we pronounce it. The emu is the second largest bird, second largest. And the largest bird is the ostrich, which Gaurav told us about. Ostrich is the largest bird, not in Australia. Emu is the second largest bird, okay? It can't fly, as we said. It has long legs. It can run very fast. Run very fast. And again, it eats plants and insects. So it is omnivore. Both these birds are omnivore. Now, the strange thing about the emu is it can go for days and days without eating and days without drinking water. Strange. It can go days and days without eating or drinking water. And a lot of very different things about the emu. You know, in other species, it is usually the male, as we saw in the kangaroo, the male of the species who's fighting for the female of the species, right? The males are fighting for the female. But in emus, the females fight for the male. So boys, wouldn't you all love this if all the girls were fighting for you? This is what happens in emus. All the females are fight over getting a male for themselves. And then when the emu lays its eggs, you know how birds sit on the eggs till the eggs hatch and the babies come out? In emus, thank you Aditya for that, yes. The emu, the female doesn't sit on the egg. The male sits on the egg. The father sits on the egg till the egg hatches. And it takes many, many days for the eggs to hatch. And that poor father, he just keeps sitting there. And sometimes he doesn't get up even to eat or drink water. So he becomes very thin. So this is a new way to diet. He becomes very thin in the bargain. So this is the first time we've heard of the females fighting for the male. Female lays the eggs, but the father takes care of the eggs. The father hatches the eggs. And when the babies are born, the father takes care of the babies also till they are grown up and can take care of themselves. And I think all of us women want to be emus. So we don't have to do any work to take care of our children, and our husbands can do all the work. So next slide, please. And the next slide is our last slide. This is the most typical bird of Australia, and it is called a kookaburra. Just like we see crows and pigeons, and they are very common for us, the kookaburra is the most common bird of Australia. And even children know about it. Everybody knows about it. And in fact, it is so common that little songs and stories, lots of little songs and stories are made up in Australia for the children to tell them about kookaburra. Like how all our children know about peacocks. All our Indian children know about peacocks because that's such a beautiful bird of India. All Australian children know about the kookaburra. And you know what is a nursery rhyme? I'm sure you all know. Little songs that are made up for children are called nursery rhymes. Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are. You all know that, right? That's a nursery rhyme in English. London Bridge is falling down, falling down. You know that. And you also know the London Bridge is, right? Row, row, row your boat gently. That's a nursery rhyme, correct? So in the same way, in Australia, they have a nursery rhyme about the kookaburra. And that nursery rhyme is well known not only by Australian children, but when I was young also, I was taught that nursery rhyme, and so was my daughter. So now we're going to close this session, first session on Australia, with a small, cute children's video which sings the Kookaburra nursery rhyme so that you all can all hear it too. Please, Keisha, can we have the video? Aussie kids songs. You know Aussie, right? Short form for Australian.
Kookaburra sits in the old gum tree. Mary, Mary, king of the bush is he. Sing, Kookaburra, sing. Kookaburra, sing your song for me. Kookaburra sits in the old gum tree, eating all the gumdrops he can see. No, Kookaburra, no. Kookaburra, share some there with me. Kookaburra sits in the old gum tree, watching all the monkeys he can see. Wait, Kookaburra, wait. Kookaburra, they look funny to me.
Yay.
Kookaburra sits in the old gum tree. Mary, Mary, king of the bush is he. Sing, Kookaburra, sing. Kookaburra, sing your song for me. Kookaburra sits in the old gum tree, eating all the gumdrops.
I think it's on a loop, Keisha, so we can stop.
Kookaburra, no. Kookaburra, share some there with me.
Thank you. Thank you. So I know that was a real kiddie video, but I love it because it reminds me of my childhood when we used to learn songs like this. So Mahek has also heard of this song, she said, and once she had to sing it. Yes, Aditya, it is a cute video. Thank you so much. And I know you all are grown up and this video is for 5 and 6-year-olds. But having said that, it's just cute. And this is one of the very popular Australian nursery rhymes or children's songs that their children learn. So when we learn about them, we don't only want to learn the boring stuff, but we want to learn about what kind of people they are too. Anu, thanks for switching your camera on. It's so lovely to actually see a real person when I'm teaching. So thank you very much, everybody. This concludes our first Australia session. Australia is not big on history, but it has lots and lots of exciting natural things in Australia. Natural, like the animals that we saw, like the birds that we saw, very different from the other parts of the world. So we are going to have a second session on Australia when we can. And that we are going to look at some other very, very amazing things in Australia, particularly the fish, which is something that we don't see in other parts of the world. So thank you very much. Keisha, may I request you to shut the live, but I request you all to remain on the call for 1 minute more.